Jing runs a mobile repair shop. The money he makes barely covers his rent, but that's not his biggest worry. His little sister, Tong, has a hole in her heart and needs surgery. Jing is the only family Tong has left after their father abandoned them years ago, and their mother passed away from cancer. This weighs heavily on Jing. During a doctor's visit, Jing learns that Tong's condition worsens by the day. Without surgery, she only has 2 years left. The surgery costs a staggering 700,000 yuan, a sum Jing can't even imagine coming up with. That night, as Jing looks at his sleeping sister with love, his phone rings. It's a friend who calls him to the factory, wanting to show him something. At the factory, the friend unveils a massive pile of smartphones, 100,000 of them. The friend explains these phones were supposed to be shipped to Italy, but they failed quality checks. Now, the owner is in jail and hasn't paid rent on the storage for years. The phones are just sitting there, unused and collecting dust. The friend offers Jing a deal. Buy all the phones for a cheap price, fix them up, and resell them for a profit. It's a tempting offer, but Jing can't afford everything. He decides to buy just one phone first, to see if he can fix it. He spends the whole night carefully repairing the phone. By morning, he's successful. The phone turns on. Feeling a surge of hope, Jing goes to the bank and secures a loan to buy all the phones. With the phones in hand, Jing heads to an electronics market in China. There, he strikes a deal with a seller who specializes in refurbished phones. Jing will sell them the repaired phones. Doing the math, Jing is stunned. Selling these phones will make him almost 1 million yuan, more than enough for Tong's surgery. Overjoyed, Jing picks up his sister from school, feeling like all his troubles are about to disappear. But will things really be that easy for Jing? 2 weeks fly by, and Jing feels a huge blow. The Chinese government throws a curveball, a ban on selling refurbished phones because of all the electronic waste piling up. Furious, Jing confronts the dealer who promised to buy all the phones. But the dealer shrugs and says, "Sorry, buddy. Law's the law. No phones for me." Jing's heart sinks. Not only can't he get the money for his sister's surgery, but he also has a loan to repay for phones he can't sell. Just as despair sets in, an idea pops into Jing's head. He rushes to the company that made the phones and proposes a deal. He'll sell them the parts from his phones at a discount. These parts can go into brand new phones the company sells overseas. The manager, however, shuts him down. Taking parts from phones could mess them up, and they wouldn't pass quality checks. Jing assures him he can take the parts out perfectly, but the manager isn't convinced. He just wants Jing to get lost and tells him to send the parts for testing, then come back with the results. Over the next few days, Jing works tirelessly, carefully removing all the important parts from the phones. Finally, he sends them off for testing. Thankfully, everything passes. Jing races back to the manager, report in hand, ready to close the deal. But the manager pulls another fast one. "Never said I'd buy them," he smirks. "Just asked you to tell me if they passed." Jing is furious, but he refuses to give up. He needs another shot. He seeks out the company owner, Zhang. 10 minutes, that's all he needs to explain his plan. Zhang, however, is running late. He has a train to catch in 30 minutes and no time for Jing. Undeterred, Jing buys a ticket for the same train and zooms through narrow alleys on his scooter. Disaster strikes. He crashes, but Jing is a fighter. He gets back up, restarts his scooter, no luck, and sprints for the station on foot. He catches the train with seconds to spare. He bursts into Zhang's seat. 10 minutes, right? Jing demands. He lays out his entire plan, but Zhang doesn't seem convinced. Jing, however, is relentless. Finally, Zhang agrees to buy the parts, but only if they pass quality control. No working parts, no money. On top of that, Jing has to do everything himself, no help provided. Jing steps off the train, his head spinning. How can he possibly take apart 100,000 phones all by himself? Later that night, Jing picks up his sister, Tong, from his friend's house. On the way home, Tong notices the scrapes on his back. Tears well up in her eyes. She realizes he's been hurt. Worried, she tells him to slow down. She reminds him that he's all she has left in the world. Jing trains them all carefully, making sure they don't mess up the quality checks. Hearing about Jing's situation, Some bored retired people from the neighborhood offer to help. Jing is thrilled. The next day, everyone starts working. But Jing is broke. He can't pay them yet, so he gets a window cleaning job with a friend. By day, Jing cleans windows. By night, he dismantles phones. Determined, he pushes himself to the limit, working 20 hours a day and sleeping only 4. Jing lives for one thing: his sister's health. One day, trouble finds him at the factory. A group of bullies picks on Wang, Jing's employee, because she sued her old boss for messing up her hearing. Wang refuses to back down, so one of the bullies punches her, breaking her hearing aid, a special gift from her son. Seeing this, Jing springs into action. He kicks the bully with a flying move, and a fight breaks out between Jing's crew and the thugs. Suddenly, Jing's quiet co-worker, Zhang, joins the fight. But unlike the others, Zhang takes down all the bad guys with surprising ease. Jing warns the bullies to stay away, but Wang is furious. She grabs an axe to attack them. Jing and the others calm her down, promising to fix her hearing aid. A few days later, there's a wedding celebration for one of Jing's workers. Jing even gives a heartwarming speech for the happy couple. Later that night, while sharing drinks with Zhao, Jing opens up about his dream: to see his sister grow up healthy. But Jing's problems keep piling up. Back at his place, he finds a note from the landlord. Jing hasn't paid rent in months, and the landlord locked him out. Jing tries his key, but the lock's been changed. He calls the landlord, but there's no budging. It's late, and Jing has nowhere to go with his sister. He takes her to Zhao's place to spend the night. Feeling frustrated and desperate, Jing confronts the friend who sold him the phones. This friend owes Jing 2,000 yuan and hasn't paid for a while. Jing gives him a few punches and takes back all the money he owes. The next day, Jing decides to move into the factory with his sister. He doesn't want to burden Zhao anymore. He feels bad that he can't even offer his sister a proper bed. Determined to succeed, Jing barely sleeps anymore. He takes short naps to recharge and works tirelessly. Every moment is precious, and he's fully focused on his goals. Jing naps at his desk. Suddenly, his sister wakes him up. Scary noises outside. Jing races out to find thieves stealing phones from his truck. They bolt when they see him, but Jing leaps on. He hangs on for dear life, fighting the thieves. The truck swerves wildly, throwing Jing off and hurting his fingers bad. The driver vanishes, but Jing confronts the remaining thief, demanding his phones back. His worried sister arrives just then. At the hospital, the police tell Jing they caught the thief and got all the phones back. Back at his window cleaning job, Jing's hurt finger makes him drop his bucket. His boss yells at him to take off his gloves. Jing shows his swollen hand, but his boss fires him anyway, only paying for the few days he worked hurt. Now, Jing can't pay rent, his workers, or for his sister's care. The landlord gives him just 3 days to pay or lose his office. Desperate, Jing stands in a storm in front of his manager's car, begging for an advance. The manager calls him pushy and throws him out. Dejected, Jing stays with his sister at a friend's place as the storm rages on. The next day, he walks to his office, dread filling him. What will he find? The jerk of a landlord kicked Jing out on the street, tossing his stuff onto the sidewalk like yesterday's news. His office, his dream for so long, was already rented out to someone else. Dejected, Jing slumped on a curb, feeling like the world had ended. He watched an ant scurry by, oblivious to the storm brewing in Jing's life. Suddenly, a familiar rumble broke the silence. It was his employees, arriving for work with a cheerful energy that surprised him. Jing braced himself for the worst, breaking the news that the factory was closed and he couldn't pay them. But what happened next left Jing speechless. Instead of disappointment, his employees surprised him. They said they weren't just workers anymore. They were a team. They understood his struggle and were willing to wait for their salaries. They were incredibly grateful that Jing had taken a chance on them, giving them their first shot at a decent job. Their loyalty and understanding sparked a flicker of hope in Jing's heart. With a renewed sense of purpose, they decided to work from home. Jing loaded the phones onto a truck, and soon everyone was hunched over workbenches in their living rooms, meticulously taking apart the phones. Months flew by in a blur of tireless effort. Finally, the last phone was disassembled, and Jing sent the parts off for the dreaded quality test. Days turned into weeks, and the wait was agonizing. What if the parts were rejected? What would they do then? The tension was thick in the air when a call finally came in. They were summoned to the office of Mr. Zhang, the CEO of the company they were working for. Jing's heart hammered in his chest as they entered the office, but Mr. Zhang's face was a picture of delight. He congratulated Jing for completing the orders on time and then dropped a bombshell. A whopping 87% of the parts had passed the quality test. Relief and joy washed over them like a tidal wave. Tears welled up in Jing's eyes, tears of gratitude and happiness. But the story doesn't end there. Zhang is so impressed with Jing's talents that he offers him a lucrative deal worth 5 million yuan for 2 years of work. Jing, feeling a mix of excitement and nerves, asks if he could receive an advance payment. Zhang, with a knowing smile, agrees. As the group steps into the elevator, they try to contain their emotions, but the moment the doors close, they erupt in ecstatic cheers. With this new opportunity, Jing can finally afford the treatment his sister needs. Fast forward 6 years, and Jing's company, Nice View, has skyrocketed to incredible success, transforming Jing into a billionaire. Today, Jing stands proudly on stage, launching a new product with his old team, who have also shared in his success and become quite wealthy themselves. If you believe Jing's journey is inspiring, hit that subscribe button. See you in the next video, and until then, take care and goodbye.